Under the cold white lights of the trading station, the air felt heavy even though it was perfectly regulated. The station hung alone in space, far from any planet or star that mattered. It was a place built for deals that no one wanted traced back to them. Long metal corridors curved like ribs, and the walls carried the faint marks of countless species that had passed through, argued, traded, and sometimes vanished. Elias Ward walked calmly across the negotiation floor, his boots making soft sounds against the polished alloy. He was human, average in height and build, dressed in a plain dark jacket with no symbols or weapons visible. His brown hair was neatly tied back, and his face showed no fear, no pride, no rush. To an outside observer, he might have looked small and unimpressive in such a place. Across from him stood Karzul. The alien trader was massive, nearly twice Elias' height. His body was covered in layered chitin plates that looked like dark stone, each one edged with sharp ridges. His arms were thick and heavy, ending in clawed hands that could easily crush bone. His head was wide and angular, with glowing eyes set deep beneath a heavy brow. Every slow breath he took sounded like grinding metal. Karzul was known across several systems. He had built his reputation not only on wealth, but on fear. Smaller species often agreed to his terms before negotiations even began. Many believed it was safer that way. Between them stood a narrow table made of reinforced crystal. Resting on it was a small case, open and facing upward. Inside lay a single gold ingot. It was no longer than Elias' hand, smooth and clean, glowing softly under the station lights. Karzul stared at it. "So," the alien rumbled, his voice low and vibrating through the floor, "this is the metal your kind guards so closely." Elias nodded once. "Yes." The alien leaned forward slightly, causing the plates of his armor-like skin to shift and click. "It is soft, useless for armor, weak for tools. Many species decorate with it, some discard it entirely." Elias remained still. "That depends on how you use it." Karzul let out something that might have been a laugh. "You bring one small bar and expect equal trade. Your kind is bold, human, or foolish." To the side of the chamber stood Saris. She was tall and slender, her blue skin smooth and unmarked. Her eyes were dark and reflective, showing no visible emotion. She wore simple observer robes, light gray, marked with the seal of her people. As an assigned witness, she was forbidden to speak unless a treaty was violated. Her role was to watch, record, and remember. She watched Elias closely. Most beings who stood before Karzul showed signs of fear. Their heart rates spiked. Their posture weakened. Elias showed none of it. His breathing was steady. His hands rested calmly at his sides. Karzul noticed. "You do not shake," the alien said, "even now." "There is no reason to," Elias replied. His voice was calm, clear, and unraised. "We are here to trade, not to threaten." The alien's eyes narrowed. "Threat is part of trade. Only if you have nothing else to offer." Silence filled the chamber. Saris felt it tighten like a drawn wire. This was not how negotiations usually went. The human was not matching aggression with aggression. He was refusing it entirely. Karzul straightened, his full height casting a shadow over the table. "You want my cargo, rare minerals, starship cores, things your world struggles to obtain." "Yes," Elias said, "and you want gold." "I want more than this," Karzul growled, gesturing toward the ingot. "Your records say humans mine it in excess. Your world hoards it." Elias finally reached out, placing one finger gently on the edge of the case. "We don't hoard it," he said. "We limit it." That caught the alien's attention. "Explain." "Gold is easy to find in space," Elias continued. "Asteroids, dead worlds. Many species stopped valuing it because supply overwhelmed demand. Humans didn't." Karzul tilted his head slightly. "You decided its value." "We decided its use." The alien let out a slow breath. "Your kind assigns meaning where there is none. We survive by doing that." Saris shifted her focus to the ingot. She had studied human trade theory before this assignment, but seeing it in practice was different. Humans were not the strongest species, not the oldest, not the most advanced, yet they kept appearing in places like this, standing their ground. Karzul tapped the table with one claw. The crystal did not crack, but the sound echoed sharply. One ingot is not enough. I demand 10 times this amount for what you want. Elias shook his head. Then there is no deal. The alien froze. You refuse? Karzul asked, disbelief creeping into his voice. Yes. You came all this way, the alien said slowly, into my territory, onto a station I influence, and you refuse. Elias met the glowing eyes without blinking. Correct. Saris felt a flicker of surprise. Humans usually argued, bargained, adjusted. This one had drawn a line. Karzul's claws tightened. The plates along his arms shifted outward, a threat display he had used many times before. I could take it, he said quietly. Elias nodded. You could try. The silence that followed was dangerous. Saris watched carefully. Any physical threat would force her to intervene. The station's rules were clear. Karzul studied the human more closely now, not as prey but as a problem. You do not carry weapons. No. You do not bring guards. No. And yet you speak as if you control this exchange. Elias allowed himself a small, polite smile. Because I do. The alien's eyes narrowed further. Explain. Elias closed the case, the soft click loud in the quiet room. This ingot represents a sample, not an offer. Karzul leaned forward again. Then what is the offer? Access, Elias said. Controlled, reliable, long-term. Saris felt understanding begin to form. You see, Elias continued, humans don't sell gold freely. We trade relationships built on it. Species that deal fairly with us continue to receive it. Those that don't. Karzul snorted. You threaten to withhold a metal I can find anywhere. You can find metal, Elias corrected. You can't find our refinement process, our purity standards, our consistency, and you can't replace trust once it's lost. The alien was silent now. Around them the station hummed quietly, uncaring. Karzul finally spoke, slower this time. You assume I need you. Elias met his gaze. You came to this station, didn't you? Saris noted the shift. The human had never once raised his voice, never insulted, never rushed. He had let the alien reveal his own need. Karzul stepped back from the table. His shadow withdrew slightly. You are different from the others. Yes, Elias said. That's why this deal matters. The alien exhaled deeply. I will continue these talks, he said. But do not mistake patience for weakness. Elias inclined his head. I wouldn't. Saris recorded the moment carefully. This was only the beginning, but already the balance had changed. Not through force, not through fear, through quiet certainty. As Elias turned and walked toward the exit corridor, the gold case secured in his hand, Karzul watched him go with glowing, thoughtful eyes. For the first time in many cycles, the alien trader did not feel in control, and Saris understood something important. The human had not come to survive the negotiation. He had come to define it. The corridor outside the negotiation chamber was quiet, filled with a soft blue glow from the station lights. Elias Ward walked at an unhurried pace, the small case holding the gold ingot secure in his hand. His face remained calm, but his mind was alert. Every step, every breath, he measured the space around him. This station was neutral only in name. Power always leaned towards someone. Behind him, unseen but very much present, Karzul watched through hidden sensors. The alien trader did not move from the chamber at first. He stood still, replaying the exchange in his mind. The human had not behaved like prey. He had behaved like an equal. That unsettled him more than any threat ever had. Saris followed Elias at a respectful distance. As an observer, she was not meant to interact, but she was allowed to move freely through public areas. Her people valued understanding over control. And understanding humans, she now realized, required close attention. They reached a common hall, wide and open, with traders from many species moving about. Voices echoed in dozens of languages. Energy screens showed shifting trade data and transport schedules. Elia stopped near a transparent wall that looked out into open space. Stars drifted slowly beyond the glass. Sarah stopped several steps away. She did not speak, but her presence was clear. "You're curious," Elia said without turning. Saris blinked, surprised. "I am not permitted to." "I know," he said gently. "You don't have to answer." She studied him. "Most beings do not notice observers." Elias turned slightly, offering a polite nod. "Humans notice patterns. You've been watching since the start." She accepted this. Silence returned, but it was not tense. It was thoughtful. Inside the chamber, Karzul finally moved. He activated a private channel to his advisors. Images flickered into the air around him, showing other traders, charts, and long-term market projections. "The human refuses my terms," he said. One advisor clicked its mandibles. "Then take the sample and end it." Karzul's eyes narrowed. "If it were that simple, I would have done so." Another advisor, older and slower, spoke carefully. "Humans do not bluff easily. Their trade history shows patience." "Patience is weakness," Karzul growled. "Not always," the advisor replied. "Sometimes it is preparation." Karzul dismissed the channel with an angry gesture. He hated doubt, especially when it came from within. Meanwhile, Elias remained by the viewport. He opened the case briefly, checking the ingot. Its surface reflected the distant stars. He closed it again. Saris finally spoke, her voice calm and even. "You were not afraid." "No," Elias said. "You understood the risk." "Yes." "Why?" Elias considered the question. "Because fear gives control to the other side." Saris nodded slowly. "Your species is physically fragile." Elias smiled faintly. "We noticed." She tilted her head. "Yet you behave as if that does not matter." "It matters," he said. "We just learned early that strength alone doesn't decide survival." Saris looked back toward the chamber doors. "Karzul is dangerous." "Yes." "You still left." "Yes." She was silent for a moment. "You expect him to follow." Elias met her gaze. "I expect him to think." As if summoned by the thought, the heavy doors behind them opened. Karzul emerged into the hall, his massive form drawing attention from nearby traders. Conversations lowered. Some beings stepped aside instinctively. Karzul ignored them, his glowing eyes fixed on Elias. "You walk away too easily," the alien said. Elias turned fully now. "I said the offer stands, nothing more." Karzul's claws flexed. "You force my hand." Elias shook his head. "You still have a choice." "Do not mistake this for submission," Karzul warned. "I wouldn't." Saris watched closely. The air between them felt charged, not with violence but with competing wills. "Continue negotiations," Karzul said at last. "On my terms." Elias considered. "On equal terms." A low rumble came from the alien's chest. "Anger, yes, but also restraint." "You push too far." "I push exactly far enough." Karzul stared at him for a long moment, then turned sharply. "Come." They returned to the chamber. This time the atmosphere was different, less posturing, more caution. Karzul took his position again, but he did not loom as before. Elias sat opposite him, placing the closed case on the table. Saris resumed her place at the side, silent and watchful. "You speak of controlled access," Karzul said. "Explain." Elias opened a data screen projecting simple charts. "Humans regulate gold exports through agreements. We don't flood markets, we supply steadily." Karzul studied the data. "Artificial scarcity, managed stability. Same thing, different outcomes." Elias continued. "Species that partner with us gain predictable supply, stable pricing, priority access. And those who don't, they find other sources, inconsistent ones." Karzul's claws tapped slowly. "You make yourself central." "Yes." "You create dependence." Elias did not deny it. "We create cooperation." Saris noted the careful language. "Humans avoided admitting dominance outright, but they did not hide it either." "What stops others from copying you?" Karzul asked. Elias answered simply. Time, infrastructure, trust, the alien grunted. Trust is fragile. So is intimidation, Elias replied. Silence stretched. Karzul leaned back. Your offer. 1 ingot as sample, Elias said. Future shipments based on fair exchange, long-term contracts. And price. Not gold, Elias said. Balance. Explain. You supply what we lack, we supply what you value. Neither side overwhelms the other. Karzul's eyes glowed brighter. You think in long spans. We have to, Elias said. Our history taught us that short wins lead to long losses. Saris felt something shift. This was not just a trade, it was a lesson. Karzul finally nodded once. I will consider. Elias closed the case again. That's all I ask. The meeting ended without ceremony. No threats, no victory claims. As they parted, Saris watched Karzul more than Elias this time. The alien's steps were slower, thoughtful. Outside the chamber, Elias paused again by the viewport. Saris joined him. He did not win, she said softly. No, Elias agreed. He did not lose, she added. Elias smiled slightly. Not yet, she looked at him. Your species is dangerous. He met her gaze. Only if underestimated. As Elias walked away down the corridor, Saris remained behind, recording every detail. She understood now that this negotiation was not about gold. It was about teaching a powerful being that humanity did not need to dominate loudly. They only needed others to listen. The trading station entered its artificial night cycle, and the lights dimmed across the wide halls. Most traders retreated to private quarters, leaving the corridors quieter than before. Only the low hum of engines and distant machinery filled the silence. Outside the great viewports, space stretched endlessly, dark and calm. Karzul did not rest. He remained alone in the negotiation chamber, staring at the empty table where the gold case had been. His massive form was still, but his mind was active. For the first time in many cycles, he felt something unfamiliar during a negotiation. Uncertainty. He replayed the human's words again and again. Not the defiance, not the refusal, but the calm. The confidence that did not come from weapons or size, dependence. The thought angered him, yet it also rang true. He had come seeking gold not because it was rare, but because human gold moved markets in ways other supplies did not. It was refined, trusted, consistent. His buyers asked for it by name. Karzul did not like needing anyone. Elsewhere in the station, Elias Ward sat alone in a small observation lounge. The room was simple. A chair, a table, and a wide window looking into the stars. The gold case rested closed beside him. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were alert. He knew part 3 was always the most dangerous. Humans called it the moment of truth, the point where patience either paid off or failed completely. Sarah stood near the entrance, silent as always, yet her presence felt different now. She had watched countless negotiations across decades, but none like this. Most ended with submission, force, or clever tricks. This one felt like gravity slowly shifting. You expect him to return, Sarah said quietly. Elias nodded. Yes, you are certain. No, Elias said honestly, but certainty isn't required, consistency is. She considered that, if he refuses, then we walk away, Sarah studied him, and lose access to what you wanted. Elias smiled faintly. We lose a short-term gain, we protect a long-term position. Before she could reply, the station's internal signal chimed softly. A message request appeared on the wall display. Karzul requested a final meeting. Saris felt a subtle shift in the air. Elias stood without haste and secured the gold case in his hand. Time to finish it, he said. The chamber felt different when they entered again. The lights were lower, the room quieter. Karzul stood waiting, his posture less aggressive, his arms resting at his sides. You have patience, the alien said. So do you, Elias replied. Karzul gestured to the table. Sit. They did. No threats followed, no raised voices. I reviewed your offer, Karzul said. I consulted records, other species who trade with humans. And, Elias asked. They prosper, Karzul admitted. Slowly, reliably. Elias said nothing. They also become aligned, Karzul continued. Their markets adjust to yours, their schedules follow your rhythms. Yes, Elias said simply. Karzul's eyes glowed. You do not conquer territory, you shape behavior. Saris felt the weight of that realization settle fully. We adapt, Elias said. So do those who work with us. Karzul leaned forward. If I accept your terms, I bind myself to your supply. You bind yourself to stability, Elias corrected. You keep your independence. You gain predictability. And if I refuse, Elias opened the gold case one final time, letting the ingot catch the chamber's light. Then this sample leaves with me, quietly. No loss to either of us today. Karzul stared at the gold, then at the human. Then at Saris, who watched without expression. The silence stretched long. Finally, the alien trader exhaled deeply. The sound echoed like stone grinding together. I accept, he said. Saris felt it then. Not excitement, not shock, history. Karzul placed one claw on the table, not in threat but in agreement. We trade as partners, long-term. Elias closed the case gently and nodded. Welcome. The formalities followed. Data signatures, contract confirmations. No celebrations, no ceremony. When it was done, Karzul rose to his full height. You did not defeat me, he said. Elias met his gaze. That was never the goal. Yet you won. Elias considered his words carefully. We both did. Karzul turned and left the chamber without another word. Saris remained behind with Elias. You changed him, she said softly. No, Elias replied. He changed himself. She looked at the closed gold case. Your species does not rule by force. No, Elias agreed. You rule by necessity. Elias paused at the doorway. We survive by understanding that power is strongest when others choose it. Saris recorded that sentence carefully. Later, as Elias boarded his transport and the station drifted behind him, Karzul stood alone again, watching ships depart. He felt no anger now, only awareness. He had not been conquered, he had been included, and across the station, Saris finalized her report. She titled it simply, On Human Negotiation Behavior. In her conclusion, she wrote one line, Humans do not need to dominate the galaxy. They only need to make themselves essential. As the stars shifted and the station faded into the distance, humanity's quiet influence spread just a little further, without a single shot fired, without a single threat spoken. Only a calm human voice, and the weight of gold used wisely.